All right. All right, everybody. So you are enrolled in physical activity 387, HFE 387. This is traditionally a physical education, teaching education class, preparing people to teach in K through 12 settings. Okay? It is still that, but we have now lifetime fitness majors and yoga minors taking this course. So we're trying to gear this course also to those students. So you have basically 3 different opportunities of teaching styles. You can teach in a sport-specific manner. You can be, if you want to be a sport coach one day and you want to teach sports, when you get to teach, that's fine. If you're more of a strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer type, then you'll be teaching fitness and that sort of thing. If you're into yoga or Pilates, you'll be able to teach those things in this class. Usually we work with Isaac Bear early college students in the high school setting on Wednesdays, and we get usually 120 students and they come here to us. For this class, we don't have that opportunity. So we have our field experience outside of class. So you'll get to choose where you go for 10 hours. You can choose recreational classes here on campus. And what you'll be doing is performing teacher observations on either yoga instructors, fitness instructors. Maybe there's a trainer that you can follow. Maybe there's a instructor that will let you come to their class a couple times and write reflections. You'll have to get their permission. Okay. In this class, you'll be forming a group. 1 or 2 of you will be getting together to create lesson plans, and then you'll be teaching our entire class. So you'll have a day just for when you teach our class. Let me go ahead and get my syllabus out here. All right. I'm going to just pull this up real quick. All right. All right. Let me see if I can pull it up here. There we go. I thought I had a printed out syllabus, but I guess I don't. So obviously there's a mass policy in this course. Part Q is another policy that you'll have to do before this class begins. As far as course materials go, you don't have to buy any books for this course. Everything's going to be provided on Canvas. I do have some recommended texts for people that are going to be phys ed teachers. The Essentials of Teaching Physical Education, Dynamic Physical Education, and PE Metrics. As far as your student learning outcomes go, you're going to be developing appropriate activities for not only secondary students, but for adults. And why that has implications is because when you're teaching adults fitness, you may have to have a lot of regressions to be able to get them to baseline. So a lot of times we want people to perform a squat or a functional pattern that we think is important, but the individual maybe has some previous injuries, or they're getting into a job where they're sitting a lot and they're not able to perform as well as they used to. So you also have to be able to teach regressions and progressions when you teach, and we'll be going over appropriate and not appropriate teaching, and especially as it goes to teaching in this environment. So there might be things that you're used to teaching that I might say we're probably not going to be able to teach that in this class specifically, because it's important to understand the fundamentals of movement and to not really exceed those unless we get the prerequisites first, okay? We'll be going over teaching effective strategies in this class. We'll be talking about, how to employ empathy, how to seek for understanding, how to get to know your students. We'll be going over fitness assessments, creating a positive learning environment, and unit and lesson planning. So this course is basically for you to learn how to become a better teacher, coach, or trainer, to be able to plan better, and to be able to implement that planning strategy in this class to about 30 other people. So you have a good opportunity to teach a really good lesson to your peers in this class this semester. I'm going to model that behavior and those teaching styles and patterns in this gymnasium. So next week on Monday, we don't have class on Monday, but the following Monday we're going to meet in the gym. And on Mondays, we're going to be meeting in the gym and we're going to be performing physical activity, and I'll be teaching either a group fitness yoga class, a strength and conditioning session, or I'll be teaching sport education. So that's all on the schedule, on the syllabus, as you see outlined. Other than that, you have a midterm and a final exam. Your midterm will be from the course materials from modules 1 and 2. The first couple modules in this class are really geared toward getting you ready to teach. Because once we get back from spring break, you're in charge of this class. You'll be teaching and we'll be evaluating your teaching skills. Some of us will have rubrics that will look at your teaching performance, and I'll give maybe 3 or 4 other students a teaching rubric during the class to also fill out. So when I'm grading you, I'm also getting your peers' feedback as well. I'm not just, making things up either. You're also going to be performing time statistics. So a couple of you in class, while one person is teaching, will be writing down how long do they instruct for, how long do they manage for, how long is their transition time. Okay, so then you can really learn, are you getting enough physical activity in your classes, or are you talking too much? Because as a good teacher, you have to be able to teach, in a very short amount of time, because they've come to work out, they've come to get physically fit, they've come to move, they're not here for a lecture. So it's trying to fine-tune your lesson planning strategies so that when you teach, it's really quick and to the point, and we're not waiting for a demo and we're not waiting for a long lecture until we can actually perform. Okay, so midterm lesson plan draft. Your lesson plan draft is going to be a lesson plan that you create individually. You're all going to create your own individual lesson plan. Once you create that lesson plan, you'll get a grade. Once you get a grade, you and another person who you teach with are going to form the next lesson plan together. One of you may have done better than the other, and maybe you want to use that lesson plan going forward. And then that's the lesson you're going to teach to the whole class. Okay? So that's basically the teaching practicum of this course, which is worth 20% of your grade. And then you have your lesson plan draft, which is 25% of your grade. Okay? You'll have, in that teaching practicum will be your teaching performance, will be included in there. So you'll also be assessed on your teaching performance. As far as the unit plan goes, that's going to be 3 lesson plans and a scope and sequence of about 4 to 6 weeks of activity, or 3 to 6 weeks of activity. So typically when you teach physical education, or even at a yoga class, or if you're a personal trainer, you want to switch it up after 3 to 6 weeks, right? So you want to progress. So if you're a trainer, you think phase 1, phase 2, how long do I have the client for? Okay, then you make segments of training phases. You have them for 12 weeks, so maybe you have 3 4-week phases, or 4 3-week phases, okay? That type of thing. And then if you're a yoga instructor, maybe you have a unit on hip mobility, or hip strength, or core strength. If you are a sport educator, maybe it's a football unit, or a soccer unit, or a hockey unit, okay? And then you're creating 3 lesson plans for that specific unit. So that's how you're going to be teaching with each other in class. Um, Again, the field experience, 25% of your grade, that is your lab, outside lab efforts. You'll be you'll be observing someone as a trainer, coach, yoga instructor, or teacher, and you'll ask to observe them for 10 hours during the semester. Okay? You'll have a log of signatures that you'll get on Canvas for them to fill out, and you can also observe teachers at the rec center that teach yoga, total body fitness, because all you're really going to do is observe and write some comments about their teaching, their strengths, and also areas of concern or maybe growth for them in the future. Okay? So you'll have an evaluative standpoint in this class. You'll have a teacher standpoint in this class, and then also the student aspect in the first couple of weeks will you be performing activities led by me. Okay? So we're meeting in the gym today. Next Monday we don't have class. So we'll meet in the classroom next week. If I feel like it's too cramped in there, we might come back here. Okay? So just keep that. That'll be an option. We'll be going over essential components and characteristics of a quality physical activity program, why we do what we do, and then also we're going to talk about our own teaching philosophy. So you're going to write about your own teaching philosophy next class, and then you're going to present your teaching philosophy, your introduction to teaching philosophy in our next class. So that'll be our discussion for class next week. When we get to the gym on 125, a week after MLK Day, we're going to be working on self-myofascial release techniques. We're going to be talking about the science of breathing, and we're going to be talking about the science of stretching and yoga. Okay? We'll be performing that on the 25th, and then the next week we'll get into activation, motor control, and dynamic warm-ups, as well as agility. And then we'll get into fitness education, strength and conditioning the following weeks, sport education the 2 weeks after, and then after that, we're on spring break. You're going to come back, and then you're going to teach, okay? So I'm going to try to teach in a way that is similar to yoga the first couple weeks. Then I'm going to teach that is in a way similar to training, strength and conditioning, and then I'm going to teach in a way that is more sport or coaching minded. So you have 3 different perspectives. If you're a yoga minor, you don't have to teach yoga to the class. You can go out and say, hey, I'm a soccer player too. Why don't I create a unit on soccer? Maybe that's more interesting. I've done a ton of yoga stuff and I've got tons of things. Maybe I want to try something out of the box. If you're a trainer and you want to try yoga, go ahead. If you're a coach and you want to try a sport coach, but you want to try personal training or strength and conditioning phases, you'll be able to do that. The more well-rounded you are as a teacher, the better it's going to be, because you might work at a facility that, you know, has yoga classes going on or has fitness and conditioning, but maybe you weren't really interested in that until you got to this class. So hopefully you get a new perspective on teaching in those 3 different areas. As far as my background, I've been teaching since 2005. So how old were you when it was 2005? You were 5? 5? You're all around 5 years old. So when you were all 5, I was 19. I was teaching at the Jewish Community Center in Elma, New York, and that's where I fell in love with teaching. I work with kids from the ages of 4 to like 16, and I was a sport coordinator because I was going to school for phys ed, and you know, I was applying for jobs that summer, and I was the camp, fitness, and sport coordinator. I taught swimming and sports. You know, we did things like kickball, which aren't appropriate now because there's a lot of sitting and standing time, but I mean, that was honestly one of my favorite activities when I was there, and it was a really fun time. They had like a farm there, so it was a really enjoyable summer. And then that summer in 2005, or the next summer, they asked me to come back and also be a personal trainer. And I didn't even know personal training in 2006 was a job. Now it's a job. You can be a personal trainer and make a really good living online or face-to-face, or you can progress to working at the college if you want to be a strength coach. So I didn't even know that was an option. So I denied that job. I ended up moving to North Carolina the following summer, and it led me to Wilmington, and I got my teaching certification here in 2009 because I had graduated with a bachelor's degree in uh, physical education, but I didn't get my teacher's cert. So when I moved down here, I got my teacher's cert at UNCW in 2009. And then I interned at Holly Tree Elementary, elementary school. Then I ended up getting my master's degree in health education online from ECU. I did my internship here at I Can Do It, where I was a peer mentor as a student, working with people with disabilities on Saturdays. And that was the I Can Do It program. We started that in 2010 as a grant research fund. As I began leading that, I became more interested in working here specifically because of the resources, right? I mean, this gym right here, I mean, we take it for granted, we're in here, but it's it's $1 million gym, right? And it was like, do I want to work in a place that's kind of very small place, or do I want to work in something like this? So I started thinking in my head, I'm like, wow, maybe I could, end up here one day. So my advisor, who is Dr. Combs, who is in my office right now, asked me, what do you want to do in 5 or 10 years? And I said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to sit in your chair. I want to teach at the college, university. I want to teach adaptive PE, and whatever, how many years went by, I became that. I ended up getting my doctorate degree. After years and years of presentations for NC AFERD, which is the North Carolina Association, or NC SHAPE, Society of Association for Physical Educators. I went to presentations. I got the 2020 Adaptive PE Teacher of the Year Award. I've been doing this and loving this at UNCW since 2010 as a student and also as an adjunct. And then I became full-time when I got my doctorate degree in 2018. So as far as other credentials, I got yoga certified in 2014. I started yoga in 2005. I got FRC mobility certification in 2018. And right now I'm working on my certified functional strength coach level 1, which is through Mike Boyle Strength and Conditioning up in Boston. I'm doing that right now. So I have a lot of different expertise in different areas. I teach a lot of different courses. So I teach elementary PE, high school PE, adaptive PE, graduate level adaptive PE. I have an internship course. I teach advanced personal training. And then I used to teach a lot of the PED 101 courses here when I was part-time. So I have a lot of different teaching experience. I can give you a lot of good advice career-wise, because I know there's a lot of different positions in fitness and health that people are interested in that probably don't even know exist. For example, you might be really good with numbers and you might be really business savvy, and that might lead you to a health and fitness career here at PPD. And you might think, well, what's a bachelor's degree in fitness and health going to help me with? Well, if you're interested in health and human science, it doesn't mean you can't get into finance just because you don't have a finance degree. If you're interested in health science, why can't you be a finance analyst for something like a pharmaceutical company? There's no one saying you can't have a certain position because of your degree if you want it, okay? And I say that because my wife got her teaching degree in special ed. She got her master's in health, and then she became a finance analyst in education services at Live Oak Bank. And then she became a finance analyst for PPD, which is a pharmaceutical company, because she's got her master's in health science. So you never know where you're going to end up. I mean, just because you're here now coaching or teaching or training and you love it, it doesn't mean you're not going to be something else or something better in that field, like a coordinator, an executive director of human performance at a college. There's so many different positions available if you have all the skills, okay? So that's a little bit about me. We're not going to go on too heavily today. I just want to give you an overview of class and what to expect moving forward. But I am going to ask that a couple of you ask any other questions that you have related to this course. So what questions do you have in general, or about the syllabus, or about the assignments? Anything that pops out?
So for observation, do the instructors have to have like a certain certification for us to observe them?
If they're teaching at any fitness and health facility, that's fine to observe them. I don't mind if you observe a rookie or someone that's been doing it for 10 years, okay? As long as they approve of you getting hours from them, they also have to sign off on them. Good question. You can start doing them anytime in the semester. There might be some future paperwork you have to fill out with Stephanie Glowa. Has anyone received an email from her yet? Stephanie Glowa? She does a lot of the internship experiences, so that's all online, so you won't have to worry about anything from me giving you to go out and go do that. But that should be coming to you in the next couple weeks if she's involved. If she's not involved, you can still go ahead. Any other questions? All right. Who here has taught their own class before? Okay, and what classes have you taught?
Well, I used to teach yoga and I'm a personal trainer.
Training in yoga?
Yeah,
What other teachers? What have you taught? All yoga. And are they all here have you taught, or any other facilities?
I do like training and conditioning at Mass Kelly.
Okay, Mass Cali. So at Mass Cali, I actually worked at Mass Cali for a little bit. I worked at O2 Fitness for a little bit. I worked at Be Unlimited Yoga, Wilmington Yoga. I taught yoga for, I'm not going to say the company in town, but they paid me $240 a class because they paid for my 2 hours, 1 hour before and 1 hour after class. And I did that twice a week. And that was when I was working part-time, because I made them believe that they needed a yoga teacher. And that was my price, and I stuck to it. So in the beginning, you might sell yourself short a little bit or do a lot of free stuff. But eventually, if you get good at it, you'll be able to set your own price and guidelines. And if you're really good at it, you'll be able to choose your own job, really, if you like this field. And the reason why I like this field is because I don't want to be stuck at a computer chair my whole life. I know people that are really, really interested in, the research aspect of being a faculty member and do a lot of grant writing, and I think that's really good for our university and really important, but I'm just not that, I'm not that guy. I can't sit and do research all day, every day. I'm actually learning that people that are doing the most stuff on the computer are getting arthritis in their fingers at a very early age. And I thought to myself, how bad do you want tenure, or how bad do you want to be assistant professor? And I said, well, how bad do you want to really research? And as much as I like researching, I like teaching a lot more, training a lot more, being in the facility or being around people a lot more than being in a cubicle all day. But I don't want to undervalue research and good researchers. If you're a good researcher and you're good at grant writing, you can create your own program because you're able to write exactly what you want out. If you're a good grant writer, you can basically fund your own programming. For example, we work with Sea Academy for Autism, and the director there wrote her own grant and received enough funding to create her own school because she's a good writer and she likes sitting down and writing, but that has also opened up her career because she's a research-minded person. So I have done research and grant writing in the past. We had a $30,000 grant that Dr. Heelskamp and I wrote for the portable nutrition lab. The I Can Do It program was a grant that we started in 2010. So I've been a part of a lot of grants and publications as well and presentations, but that's just not my favorite thing to do. But of course it's part of my job, and to get promoted and tenured, I still have to do some research, but I'm just letting you know I'm not in my office all day researching, okay? I'm really more teaching minded than I am research minded, so I'm probably not the best person to go for research advice, but I do know some teachers that are very research based. All right, any other questions today? All right. Let's try to get one more question that we're thinking about before you head out. So the week, I think, after spring break, it's on the schedule. You're going to start teaching. The one thing we can do now is if you know one person in this class that you're thinking about, we don't have to do it today, but we are going to be getting in groups of 2 for your teaching. So think about today and next class who you want to formulate that. I don't want to make you force any decisions today. I want to give you some time to think about that, but you are going to be partner teaching, okay? So next week we'll meet in the classroom on Wednesday. If we think we need to go into the gymnasium, if we feel like it's a little too tight in there, we can. And then we'll get started with the lecture. And then on the following Monday, we'll be in the gymnasium working on the breathing, respiration, self-myofascial release, and science of stretching, okay? All right. Any other questions before we head out? 143, Trask? 143. It should be on the syllabus, and the syllabus is on Canvas. And in the next couple weeks, you'll start seeing more module material start popping up, okay? So I'm not going to throw everything all at you at once for this course, okay? All right. Any other questions, bring them to class next week or email me, and we'll see you all next Wednesday. Thank you. Might have to go to my office to get it real quick.